Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today, man, we're going to be talking about what is truthfully, in my opinion, a pretty insane turn of events in this whole GTA 6 leak situation, right? Now, obviously, that happened so long ago, but Optimus, why are we talking about this? Why is this a discussion? Well, that's because one of the leakers who was behind this entire thing, a teenage GTA 6 hacker, if you will, has now been sentenced to life in a secure hospital prison, and it looks like he might never get out. And it actually may have something to do with some recent comments that he made, which obviously came to really bite him. Obviously, the whole situation is just insane. Obviously, we've been seeing a lot more gaming leaks, it feels like, in the last few years. The GTA 6 leak was massive. Capcom leaks, I've seen. I think Nintendo had leaks for a minute too. Obviously, Insomniac Games just like a day or two ago. But this leak was absolutely massive, and it turned out that it was like an 18-year-old guy who did this shit, right? So the 18-year-old Lapsus hacker who played a critical role in leaking Grand Theft Auto 6 footage has been sentenced to life inside a hospital prison, according to a report from the BBC. A British judge ruled on Thursday that Ariane Kurtaj is a high risk to the public because he still wants to commit cybercrimes. In August, a London jury found that Kurtaj carried out cyber attacks against GTA 6 developer Rockstar Games and other companies, including Uber and Nvidia. However, since Kurtaj has autism and was deemed unfit to stand trial, the jury was asked to determine whether he committed the acts in question, not whether he did so with criminal intent. During Thursday's hearing, the court heard Kurtaj, quote, had been violent while in custody with dozens of reports of injury or property damage, the BBC reports. A mental health assessment also found that Kurtaj, quote, continued to express the intent to return to cybercrime as soon as possible. He's required to stay in the hospital prison for life unless the doctors determine that he's no longer a danger. So this is one of the honestly more like bizarre stories I feel like I've ever heard when it comes to like a hacker kind of situation, because like I don't think I can ever remember an instance where somebody has like basically gotten life for hacking. And obviously it clarifies in the article, this is not the only like cybercrime he committed was like leaking and stealing this stuff from Rockstar for GTA 6. Apparently he also hit other companies such as Uber and Nvidia with attacks as well. I don't really know much about those attacks personally. I've not heard too much about them at least. But obviously this GTA 6 one, that was pretty big news too. I also had not heard anything about like what this guy was doing in jail. I remember them like arresting and everything and figuring out what was going on, but I hadn't heard any updates. And this is the last update that I've now heard about this. Honestly, man, just insane. Like, I, once again, I can at least remember anyone getting in a situation where they end up getting life over hacking. But you gotta remember, too, he didn't just, like, let's say, like, leak a poster or something like that. He's accused and basically now convicted of leaking a bunch of, gameplay and information that basically did millions upon millions of dollars in damages to Rockstar Games and their company because of this stuff, right? So it wasn't just some, like, oh, small haha gotcha kind of thing. There was like legitimate consequences coming because, I mean, millions of dollars were lost over this, they weren't just going to let this shit slide. But Kurtaj leaked 90 videos of Grand Theft Auto 6 gameplay footage last September while out on bail for hacking Nvidia and British telecom provider BT/EE. Although he'd stayed at a hotel under police protection during his time, Kurtaj still managed to carry out an attack on Rockstar Games by using the room's included Amazon Fire Stick and a, quote, newly purchased smartphone keyboard and mouse. According to a separate BBC report, Kurtaj was arrested for the final time following the incident. Another 17-year-old involved with Lapsus was handed an 18-month community sentence called a youth rehabilitation order and a ban from using virtual private networks, you'll probably know them as VPNs. The official trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 dropped earlier this month, racking up hundreds of millions of views even after the trove of videos leaked by Kurtaj and the trailer's premature release on X, formerly Twitter, while Kurtaj's defense asked the judge to take the trailer's success into account during the sentencing. The BBC says the judge argued real companies and people were hurt by Lapsus. Rockstar Games said it spent $5 million recovering from the attack. So it's also kind of surprising to me how young the perpetrators in this situation was, right? Apparently another 17-year-old was involved. You would think, at least at face value, when you hear a situation like this, that especially something so organized, it seemed like that these would have been grown adults, right? 30-year-old men type shit, right? But no, these are actual teenagers who are still high school age basically, that were capable of hitting billions multi-billion-dollar companies like this and doing this much damage. These kind of situations, I think, of course it sucks, right, for all the employees at Rockstar Games. They obviously lost a lot of time, and, they had to change their plans up a lot because of all this, right? Because, well, now all these gameplay clips and trailers and shit were out. They had to definitely, that affected their schedule, no doubt. But at the same time, these kind of situations, I feel like, also provide the ability for people to get better, and I don't say that to discredit what was done. I say that because now the security flaw is known, and according to what I also saw in one of these side articles, the US government got involved to actually fix the flaw that allowed them to do something like this. So even though obviously millions of dollars in damages were done and a lot of people were affected by this kind of stuff, this situation did also provide the opportunity for security to get better in general, right? Because as shitty as it is to say, and as sad and disturbing as it is to sound, the best way that these security updates and stuff come a lot of the time is from reacting to what criminals do with it. So it did provide the ability, I guess, for a little bit of policy review and whatnot, I'm sure, and some improvements across the board to security. I'm assuming not only at Rockstar Games, but to other companies too. And it's just crazy that people are so intelligent to do things like this, but then they use that intelligence in the wrong way, right? Now they say that, one of these kids had autism, this Kurtaj guy, also known as Lapsus with a $sign. They say he has autism. Obviously, he's the one who's going to be in a prison hospital forever. It's kind of sad, right? Because, like I said, these are people who had the capability to do pretty crazy technological things, and then, yeah, they get caught up doing the wrong thing. These are guys who could, I'm sure, go get a job, in cybersecurity, really stable, great pay, and they could really help improve security, right? Because obviously they know the flaws, they know how to infiltrate networks and whatever. It's always kind of mystified me how those people will have that kind of skill, and then instead of using it for good, they just go and do stuff like this. Yeah, we got gameplay in the trailer and whatever early, and yeah, with all these different leaks and everything that have happened, but at the end of the day, is it really worth it for something like this? I really don't think so. Now, once again, a lot of this I feel came down to a pretty recent statement that the kid actually made here, the 18-year-old, who is now going to be basically locked up for life. Now, one thing I want to point out, right, is at the beginning of the article, it said that the judge had ruled that he was a high risk to the public because he still basically wanted to do this kind of stuff. And that is in reference to a recent statement that the dude made where he basically said, yeah, if I get out, I'm just going to do this type of shit again. And obviously, he already had a pattern, a history of doing this. I mean, he hit Uber, Nvidia, Rockstar. So, I mean, obviously his statement was taken for what it was. They didn't see it as a joke or sarcasm or anything, and he was deemed to be a continuous threat. And truth be told, if he did get out, yeah, he probably would have done it again, you know what I mean? And is it really worth risking again? I don't know, but even then, he got a pretty crazy deal here. People are saying, oh, well, it's going to be in a hospital, he'll be protected and supervised, but even then, man, at that quality of life, I'm sure, I've never heard anyone be wow, the prison hospitals are a really good place to stay nowadays, you know what I mean? All because, he wanted to sit around and hack Rockstar and troll Grand Theft Auto developers and stuff like that. And it makes me kind of wonder, what this sentencing might have been had he not said that, right? If he just didn't say, hey, I'm gonna fucking do this again. I'm assuming, right, that, maybe they would have been a little bit more lenient. I mean, he already wasn't, deemed to fit trial or whatever, right? He wasn't allowed to do a trial because I guess they deemed his autism to be too much of, a conflicting problem in the whole thing. Which, I mean, that makes sense. I get that, right? That does definitely make some sense, but at the end of the day, right, you just can't go around saying shit like that. I mean, I think it was a meme a while ago that Filthy Frank had voiced over or something where it was a drawing of Goofy and shit in court, and they're yeah, you're admitting you killed all these people, and he's I'll fucking do it again or whatever, right? That's what this kind of reminds me of. Why the fuck would you say that? You're basically on the line for very serious charges, and then of course you go and say something like that, they're not going to take any leniency or whatever, but I mean, that is what happened, right? So this guy, I guess, is probably going to spend forever in this prison hospital. Now, of course, it does note that if he's no longer deemed to be a risk to the public, or he's not going to be a concern to hack something again or whatever, he may be able to get out. But I mean, I just don't think that statement really helped him by saying that shit, bro. That's not going to go very well looking down the line when they're hey, we need to figure out, is this guy going to do it again? And they're yeah, well, the last thing he said as a free man was he's going to do it again. So either way, this whole thing just kind of looks like it's a one of those punishments, more or less, where they're trying to set an example, if that makes sense. Because, like I said, gaming industry, it seems like these hacks are getting more and more common, and then in general, hacks have already been pretty common for a while now because technology has continued to evolve. It's become more normalized. Most people don't really take cybersecurity or even like just basic internet principles seriously. So like, obviously it's lucrative. Like there was money to be made in this whole situation and whatever, but like even then it came back like this. Now you're in life, your life is now basically sitting in a prison forever, in a hospital. I don't know. I just would rather not have to deal with that. But of course, you know, this isn't one of those situations where logic really went through the right way, you know? This is somebody who wasn't deemed fit to stand trial, and, you know, they got the punishment that the judge and the court decided for them. And I guess that's really how it goes, you know? Like, there's nothing that can be done now, I'm sure. It's not like you can just be like, oh, I'm really, really sorry, I won't do it again, and they'll just be letting you back out on the streets, right? But I mean, if this is one of those things where they're just trying to set an example, it would make sense, like I said, because, you know, trying to do this constantly and having to deal with all these people who do things like this, it's got to be tiresome, it's got to take up so much resources, and then to finally get them, and then just to know, yeah, he's gonna do it again if we let him go. It's probably one of those cat and mouse games that just gets really fucking frustrating. And then like when you finally get them and you finally really want to send the message, like I think that's really all it comes down to here, right? So anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus members, your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about the GTA 6 hacker, and signing out. And that's a wrap on this video, but a big shout out to my Optimus Nation supporters. You guys are the real MVPs here. Your support with just $10 a month unlocks a treasure trove of exclusive videos, constantly updated, archived live stream VODs, and early access to all new uploads. Thanks for watching and see you soon.